Hi, my name's Karen. I thought I'd do a bit of an introduction video, as I haven't really done one yet. Sorry, just grabbing my coffee. I'm a part-time eBay reseller. I don't have any other job. I'd like to say part-time because I only work about 16, 18 hours a week. I work around my kids who are both at school. So I tend to work whilst they're at school, and I also do a voluntary role where I help at a toddler group. So that takes me up Tuesday mornings. I thought I'd say a bit about myself because I've not really introduced myself yet. As I said, my name's Karen. I live in Rochester, which is in Kent in South East England. I've got two kids, one's 8 and one's 9, both at school full time, and a hubby. And my husband works long hours. Sorry, there's one of my cats. My husband works long hours. He works dodgy hours. He doesn't do set days, so going back to work really isn't an option because I'd have to pay out so much for childcare. It would just work out, I'd be working for nothing, and I ain't working for nothing. Yeah, so, because he doesn't have the set days off, I can't even work, say, weekends, and some days he doesn't get in till 9 o'clock at night, and he leaves at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there ain't no time to work, and I want to spend some time with him when he's home at least. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes as well. So, let's go back to, I started being self-employed in 2010. I'd had both my kids by then, and both of them were young. There's 20 months between my children, and I'd just gone back to work, and at this point my husband had a different job, so I used to work nights, which was fine when I only had the one and she slept through the night. Then I had my son who didn't sleep through the night till he was 3. So going back to work for that overnight and then getting up in the day early in the morning, 4 o'clock, I wouldn't get in till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I just couldn't do it, so I gave it up. I was also diagnosed with depression at that point, so I do live with depression. I don't suffer from it. I hate that word, suffer. I live with depression. I'm on antidepressants, have been since 2010, so it's medicated. I'm fine. I'm getting bad days, mainly good days though, which is good. So yes, I needed something to do. We worked out I didn't need to work. You know, as long as the bills were paid. This is always our philosophy. As long as our bills are paid, we get extras, that's good. We don't, oh well. Yeah, and the bills were getting paid, so I was fine. But I needed to be more than a mum, to be honest, at that point. Because it was just, with my head the way it was. And I didn't have my kids till I was 29. And I'd worked full time up until then. And I needed to be more than a mum. I needed to be me. So I started making handmade jewellery in 2010. It was more of a hobby, to be honest. And then I discovered I could do craft fairs and I could sell on eBay. So I then went down the registering with HMRC route and I started doing the craft fairs, and I opened up an eBay business account. Yeah, and that was going really well. It was never a big money earner. Never, ever. I mean, I think my first year, I think my profit was £500 for a year, to give you an idea of how much money I made. It was more for sanity for me that I'd done it. And then scroll forward to 2012, my daughter started school. And I knew 2 years later my son would be starting school. And at this point, my husband had a Monday to Friday job, so he was in a different job. So I thought, I don't really want to go back to work. Not because I'm lazy, not because I didn't want to earn the money. It's just, I didn't want to have to put my children in childcare every morning and every night and be absolutely shattered. You know, I like being a stay-at-home mum. I like the fact, you know, I do all the housework. Most people would like grimace at that, but my husband works long hours, so I don't mind doing the housework. And to be honest, don't tell him, but he'll never do it right anyway. So I knew I had to do something else. So I was thinking, what can I do? And I'd come up with all these ideas, and I thought, nah, none of it's going to work. Ain't going to work. So I thought, right, I've got to go and get a job. But I had this big box of beads, etc. left over. And I was like, right, I need to destash these. So I set up a group on Facebook to destash them. And it shocked me how they were lapped up. And I actually sold them for profit. I brought them off eBay and sold them for profit. So I thought, something interesting here. but didn't think anything else of it. So carried on job hunting. Not really anything I could do even around, because childcare, I don't know about where you live, but childminders seem to work from 8 till 6, and most jobs are 8:30 till 6 round here. So it was really no good, because my husband even then didn't get in till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So I was still hunting for a job, still not finding any job. And then I was making Christmas presents, because I was still making jewellery, but just for gifts and for friends and family. And I do the odd craft fair, so I was still registered, so I was doing absolutely nothing wrong. So I was like, right, I need to find a certain charm. I can't even remember what charm it was. It was a charm, I know it's from my mum, but I can't remember what it was. And I searched Google, and I stumbled across a wholesaler. I was like, no way. Looking at these prices of the items I've been paying for on eBay, I thought, no, this is too good to be true. So I done a little order, because at this time my husband had also got a £70 tax rebate, and I was like, ooh. So he said, go on, spend the money, go on, do what you want. That's me other cat, sorry. Yeah, I've got 2 cats. So I spent it, and at the time I thought, oh, that's a lot of money. And I got in a wholesale order. It was 12 items, because you used to have to buy them by the kilo. So you can imagine, like, charms by the kilo, bags of beads by the kilo. And I ordered that in, and I took it from there. And my business grew and grew and grew, to the point I was getting in about 50 kilos a week of stock. Now, when you're thinking they're tiny little beads, reels of ribbon, that is a lot of stock. It was all contained in one cupboard, which was one plus side to it. But the big downside to it was the profit margins for the time putting in were not that good. I mean, we're talking, in my heyday, I was making 40 grand turnover, taking 40 grand turnover. Out of that, I got 6 grand profit. And I was working 60 hours a week. I was literally getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, doing work, getting the kids to school, doing more work, getting them home from school, doing more work. Because at this point, my husband had changed jobs. He got laid off, and he went to work for a big electrical retailer in their warehouse. He was doing warehouse work at this point. So he was working till 11 o'clock at night. And to be honest, we just weren't seeing each other, and it weren't good for us. So I then decided to stay in the bead business, but transfer it. I had these all on eBay as well, but to also transfer all my Facebook stock, which I used to sell predominantly on there, onto Etsy. The problem with selling on Facebook, let's put it like this. Say if I got £500 worth of orders in a day, which I used to sometimes, at least 250 of them wouldn't be paid. And it was time wasters. There was lots of lovely, good customers. I had lots of lovely, good customers. But yeah, you got a lot of time wasters. So when it went over to Etsy, and my prices had to increase because of Etsy fees, my trade went downhill. I went back onto Facebook after, I went on Etsy in the May, this was last year. And I went back onto Facebook in December. And I just lost all love for it. I looked at it and I hated it. I absolutely detested it. And I still had the time wasters. And the problem was, is the market had been flooded by this point, and you were getting people that were happy making 5p profit, which they weren't really making, because you've got to take PayPal fees. You know, you've got to take your time, and I just wasn't willing to compete with it. But before all this, I had, when I was in my, what I'd call the heyday of doing it, when I was on Facebook still, I'd set up a Royal Mail online business account. And they'd come out and they'd show me how to do it, and that's good. They showed me once and I'd forgotten how to do it by the following day. So I was on YouTube. I was like, there's got to be something on YouTube telling me how I do this. So I stumbled across Nick Hills, I think you'll probably know him. And he was going through how he'd done the online postage. And that is how I stumbled into the reseller market. And I found a community, because working from home, even though I wasn't selling the same stuff, working from home can be so isolating. Yes, it gives you the freedom. Yes, you're your own boss. But I could go days, and I mean days, without talking to anyone other than the woman at the post office, my husband, and maybe the odd mum at school. And that would be it. And it can be isolating. It's not nice, to be honest, that bit of it. As I said, I love working from home. I love the freedom. I love the fact I can pick up the kids from school. And I love the fact that there's this community now. From Nick, I fancy here, obviously. It's here in Vex. And, yeah, they're just so down to earth and funny. I also like to watch Carly Jenkins. I find her hilarious. And she really does know what she's doing. But she puts the comedy value into it. And that's what I like. Because it's not all down and gloomy or serious. And, you know, you need to be doing this. It's like the light relief plus the knowledge. I also like Mrs. M. And Fake Rachel, though she doesn't tend to do a lot of YouTube now anymore. But I do like following her on Instagram. Yeah, they're the main UK ones. I also like Kent Resellers and Karen Fisher. But I do follow a few US. I don't follow a lot of US because I think a lot of what they do is unapplicable to us. What their fashion trends are and their labels they look out for are different to what we look out for. I like Scavenger Life. I love their whole philosophy on it. And I find it's really good to listen to while you're working. It gives me a kick up the backside for some reason. And I like Texas Girls Treasures and Lindy Glenn, who I've started following recently from Texas Girls Treasures channel. But yeah, so back to when I was doing the beads. So I went back onto Facebook and I absolutely detested it and I hated it. And then after Christmas, my kids were like, Mum, we want to get rid of all these toys because we want to save up and we want to buy this. I can't even remember what they wanted to buy. Something that's probably gone into sale now. So I said, okay, I'll put them on eBay. I know how to do this. I've been watching Nick. So I started putting them on. And they started selling. And I thought, I could do this. Sod the beads. Sod the ribbon. I could actually go into reselling. So I did. Yeah, so I've been working now since January. I'd say is when I went over to a reseller. Still on the same business account. So I've got a really high feedback mark because obviously I've got all these years of being on there. And I'm now at 832 listings. I am not no guru. I am not making a full-time wage. I would say it's bearable a part-time wage, but I'm happy. I'm not going to say how you do it or if you're doing it wrong or say I know everything. I don't know everything. But I enjoy what I do. I mean, to put it into perspective, if I was to go back to work now, as I said, my husband leaves work 5 o'clock in the morning. Some days doesn't get in until 9 o'clock at night. I would have to put my children into childcare. There is no ifs, ands or buts. They would have to go into childcare. I couldn't rely on him. And you can't go to a childminder. Well, I need you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and I need you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, because they need to make a living too. And childcare around here in Kent is quite expensive. You're looking at £4.50 an hour for each child, and I'd only be earning about 15, 16 grand a year if I went back full time. And though during school term time, that's okay, I haven't got family nearby with disposable time that can look after my children in school holidays. So it worked out. We worked it out. Me and my husband worked it out because we're not entitled to tax credits. We're just on that bit too much, which is good because I prefer not to be reliant on them because I've heard so many horror stories about them. I'd be working for £50 a week. That's without any work clothes. That's without parking. That's without the additional car that would be needed. So basically I'd be working for nothing. And I ain't doing that. I really ain't doing that. And I actually enjoy what I'm doing. I really do. I get pleasure. Not so much, well, the profit is good. It is good to make a profit. But I get pleasure knowing that I'm finding something that somebody else wants. And though there's all this hoo-ha about resellers, etc., you know, some people think we're the scum of the earth. You know, how dare we make profit on other people's things and get things from charity shops and dare make profit on it. But to me, I like the chase. It's the sourcing. It's the finding the items. It's the listing it. and knowing that it's going to someone that's really after that thing. I like that. So anyway, that's a bit about me. If there's anything else you'd want to know or any other videos, please just ask me, put it in the comments. So thanks a lot for listening. Bye.